Hello, my friends. This is not a bread machine video. This is a video to teach you how to make my Grandma Pauline's baking powder biscuits. And we're going to do it the old-fashioned way with a pastry blender. In case you haven't seen one of these before, some of them look like this and have little bladey type things. And the kind I grew up with had wires. But they do the same thing. This one seems to work a little bit more easily. So my Grandma Pauline's baking powder recipe came from a scone recipe originally, or a scone. She was from London and she came here at, we're not sure what age. She originally said 17, but then we found out she wasn't exactly telling the truth about her age, so she may have been 20 or 21. I don't remember what my mom said, but anyway, she came here, from a family, I guess, of fabulous bakers, and she took this from a scone recipe, and I guess basically took out some of the sugar, because I don't think it's a huge difference, and made it into biscuits, baking powder biscuits. Now I know in other parts of the United States, biscuits are like rolls, but to me, these are biscuits, baking powder biscuits, and they're wondrous, flaky little round bundles of joy, and probably one of my favorite top 5 foods in the world. And so I wanted to share this recipe with you. This is my Grandma Pauline Shapiro's legacy that I made with my mom, Harriet Shapiro Walker, and she taught me, and I made them with her when I was a little girl, and now I still make them, and when I make them, I feel my mom and my grandmother are here baking with me, and it's just a really special thing. So the ingredients are all-purpose flour, baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, cream of tartar, sugar, and salt, salted butter, and milk, whole milk. And don't make the mistake that I did and make it with lactate milk, because they didn't puff up as much. So the ingredients say to mix the dry ingredients together. So here is my all-purpose flour. Here is my baking powder. Here is my cream of tartar. Here is my sugar, or as my Grandma Pauline would say, sugar. Here is my salt. That's all the dry ingredients. I'm just gonna shove those little suckers aside. And I don't know, could have used a spoon, but I'm using a fork. This is not rocket science, obviously, but I do want to get this very well mixed. And I feel like the fork kind of sifts things through, so that's why I chose the fork. And if I don't slow down, I'm going to be flinging dry ingredients all over the place. So here comes the fun part, and this is the part that some of you may never have done or seen before. Like I said, this is the pastry blender. So the next direction is cut in butter with pastry blender. Now, as I've seen directions say use 2 forks, I can't even figure out how that would work. You can use your fingers, but if your hands are cold, if your hands are warm, you don't want to use your fingers, because if you're melting the butter, then you're not getting the nice flaky texture. So I'm gonna pop my butter in there, say goodbye to that bowl, and here we go. You can just watch, I kind of turn the bowl, and I'm just, whoops, hey, it wouldn't be me if I didn't make a mess, right? You know me. So every once in a while, you just kind of push whatever butter is sticking through it, and you kind of, wiggle jiggle. You just keep doing this, and it's not really quick. So we're gonna turn off the camera so you don't get bored, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. I think we are there. And you can get a nice close-up. There's these little bits of butter. And if you want to break them up a little more with your finger, sometimes I do that, but this is all good. So the butter should be all cut in, you know, like kind of a maybe pea shape, pea size bits. And don't be tempted, as my husband joked with me a minute ago, don't be tempted to put this in the food processor because you will not have flaky, tender biscuits. I promise you. It will not be a good idea. And this is a good workout for your arm, right? Okay, that is all done. Now, the next direction says add milk all at once and stir until dough follows a big fork. I have a big fork and I have my milk. It's all measured out. I'm gonna pour it in. Okay, Grandma, Mom, Aunt Shirley, that's my mom's sister, help me out here. Make sure it's good. In a way, this is a little bit like pie crust in that it has the buttery little bits in it because you do not want to overhandle this. It says stir until dough follows a big fork around the bowl. I think we're about there. Let me get that off of there. And it says gather dough lightly and pat out to 1 inch thick, no rolling pin. So I'm going to flour my surface well. And I'm going to throw this over here because I'm going to need space for a rolling pin in a minute. Okay, making room. So I'm just going to dump and get rid of my bowl. Notice I am not going to do a lot with this. You don't want to overhandle these. I'm just sort of, oh boy, I need flour. Wait a second, time out. I don't want to touch my canister with floury hands. Okay, just sprinkle a little bit of flour on top and some more over here. Hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, I'm gonna pat it out. Notice how I'm not kneading it, I'm not turning it and pushing it, I'm not using a rolling pin, none of those things. And also, did you notice how all of the crumbly bits just kind of came together? Okay, that's, I think, about 1 inch. And now we need, got dough all over my hands. Now I need a cookie sheet, which is right here. And I need a biscuit cutter. I think I'll use this size. And I need a bowl of flour, which of course I forgot to organize ahead of time. All right, so if you've used a cookie cutter before, same way, you just use it the same way. Should I do scallops or plain?
How big?
About what, 2.5 inches-ish? Yeah. So dip into the flour, just like you would do cookie cutter. Cut the biscuit. And I'll finish cutting these and show you what they look like. So as you can see, I've gotten a good number of them done. With the leftover dough, again, resist the urge to to over touch it. You notice I'm just kind of bringing it back. Don't worry about those cracks. It doesn't matter. Okay. And I'm going to finish. If they're cracked, if they're still delicious, it's better than over handling it and making it tough. The question is, can I get them all on one cookie sheet? We'll get back to you and you'll find out. And this is the last piece of dough. It's kind of too small to cut, and I'm just kind of making my own little biscuit, sticking it on there. My next direction is refrigerate for at least 30 minutes, but no longer than overnight. So after they've been in the fridge for 30 minutes, we'll come back, we'll brush them with milk, and we'll bake them, and that will be it. Biscuits have been hanging out in the refrigerator for about a half an hour. All I have left to do is to brush them with milk. And when I am done brushing all of them with milk, I will bake them at 450 degrees, that's Fahrenheit, for about 10 to 12 minutes. There's my timer on my watch. And then I'll show you what they look like when they come out of the oven. And the biscuits are all done. You can see they're beautiful, flaky. Oh my God, I can't wait to get butter on these things. And now we finally get to have dinner. Yes, we're having biscuits, breakfast for dinner. Yum, 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 yum. By the way, this plus those over there is a double recipe. If it's only one or two of you, make a single recipe. But if you want a lot, you need to make a minimum of a double recipe. It is not a big recipe. Enjoy.